Welcome back to JMC Live at the break. Sean was talking about Hurricane Katrina. From my personal experience, I was in the U.S. Coast Guard. Everyone's familiar that Time Live, the Time magazine made the Coast Guard the people of the year. But what exactly happened? I had friends and other people I know in other branches that went directly to New Orleans. I wasn't in New Orleans or Florida, but I helped out with the air guards, with the message traffic. We sent a team out there. There were other ministries and other people started to come together. People did put a focus on New Orleans, but you have to figure out the magnitude of this storm. It affected Mexico, Texas, Louisiana, all the way over to Florida, and it went all the way up the whole East Coast, practically. And as Sean was saying before the break, he would go up and down, and this gave him an opportunity that God placed in the lives. I think Hurricane Katrina is a horrific event, but it's also a godsend in some ways. Because there were people that didn't know each other before this event. There were organizations and others that decided that enough is enough. We're going to put our racial tensions aside, or our denominational issues aside, or even religious beliefs. Where you work, how much you make. And we're going to go out there and we're going to help people, and we're not going to charge anyone, and we're going to get things done and clean things up. And Sean, I don't know about you, but the look on a lot of the people's faces that were working there, as you saw their pride level start sinking day by day by day, and people would cry and they would lose their voice, and others would say, I just want to do more. Some would run out of exhaustion. Some of them were physically exhausted. Sean, you want to elaborate more on that?
Well, you got to remember, late August in South Florida, and I'm imagining it was the same in New Orleans. It's not exactly cool weather. It's very hot. It's very muggy. You have trees. The cypress trees are gigantic. They're like 2 or 3 oak trees put together, and they're laying on their sides. Teams of people would show up with chainsaws just to clear that. And here would be people unloading trucks for me to distribute to the poor, just because they wanted to do whatever they could. People were coming together, and the storm was truly a great equalizer. It didn't matter if you drove a Lexus, because your Lexus does not run on air. It runs on gas. And there is no electricity to run gas pumps right now. And there is no credit card machines that will allow you to pay for it without cash. The ATMs aren't working, so you can't go get cash. We're just going to have to knuckle down and work together, or people are going to die. And what made it even more excruciating was at night. Some people would invest so much money into generators because they've lived through a few of these storms. But at night, gangs with violent intent on their heart and mind would come, and they would leave with that generator, whether they had to shoot you to get it or whether you gave it willingly and hid in your house and let them. And so all through the night, during those 3 or 4 weeks, you would hear gunfire in the middle of the night, and you were hoping that nobody had been killed. And, here I am, my home, no front door. The back end is gone. Half the roof is missing. We just got to get through this. And if we don't come together, we will fall apart, and people will pay with their lives. And there's no need for that.
You're exactly right. And I remember seeing stories of bodies floating by. I mean, when I was in the Coast Guard, we heard about a lot more that happened. There was one story where they were covering in a Walmart, and this was anywhere between New Orleans all the way over to Florida, because, like they said, the power was out, and it was out for weeks. People were breaking into stores. and they were just outright taking stuff out of the stores, and no one was stopping them because it was a mass crowd. It was like the day after Thanksgiving Black Friday sale.
Except people were not, and you got to remember, there's people who are so desperate that their very survival is relying upon this. And you have to ask yourself, if you had a child at home that needed that water, would you break into a Walmart and steal it in the middle of chaos like this? Of course you would. And then you are interspersed within that is a criminal element who see this as an opportunity. And at the end of the day, you just got to say, let them have the flat panel TV, because one of those people might be trying to get bottled water for their child. And just, the heck with it. It's just stuff. We do not need to lose a single human soul over any of this junk. Let them have it. And, it was amazing because, and the stores, that's what's so funny, is the stores were of the same mind, to be honest with you. They know they have insurance. They know they will recoup their losses. But it was the local authorities. And it was Democrats and Republicans alike were constantly trying to do this maintain law and order stuff. And it wasn't really addressing people are hungry, people are thirsty, and when that happens, you can talk about law and order all you want, but people are going to want to feed their kids. And so I got to see human beings as some of their most desperate during that period of time. And rather than be completely frightened, I completely understood and did everything I could to serve them. And it was a great thing that we provided in just allowing people to be with their fears, to remind them that all will be okay. Everything's going to be fine. This is a temporal plane, and we are spiritual beings. We'll get through this together in this physical life, and the Father will provide. He always has.
So and after this experience
above all
with Katrina,
be not afraid.
Not afraid. I think that was the biggest fear, the biggest fuel that was going on for Katrina was the fear. And that
people were genuinely scared.
Yes, they were, and you could see it in their eyes. So after going through the Katrina experience, which I would have to say that would take about 6 months to a year, depending on how much contact, what were the next steps that Deep Waters Ministry went through?
Well, after Katrina, and we had power restored and people could get back to life, I knew my part in South Florida had come to an end. Because as the TV show on that back in the 70s was 8 is enough, this was my 8th hurricane, and I did not want to stick around for my 9th. And after 8 hurricanes, I returned to Atlanta, where I had grown up in my teenage years, and said, I'll just do it right here, where I used to do it back in the day, and I came back to Atlanta. And almost immediately picked up where I left off doing the part-time work, except now I was there 7 days a week. And I was looking around, and people, Sean, how do you have fun this thing? I don't know. I don't. And one of the greatest challenges for me in my humanity is before, as I grew up in my career doing politics, then I switched over to the corporate world for a while and supported myself through a very generous income that I was receiving, but I would return that money into the poor, and having that ability was always great. I'd show up, there'd be a bunch of homeless people. I got plastic. Let's feed them all. And here I was going to become a missionary full-time, and that wouldn't work anymore. And here I had always been the contributor behind all this, and now I had to learn how to receive contribution. And it sounds like an easy lesson to learn, and it's not, because the complexity of human nature has each and every one of us caught in this duel all through our lives. We are constantly wanting to make a difference in this world and to be a contribution to others. And yet the irony is we do not want to receive contribution for others, because we would have to admit we're not perfect. We're not in control. We can't do this by ourselves. We'd have to really own the truth of the matter is that we need one another. And nobody seems to want to do that to some level or another. And I was included. So I would carry myself as, no, we'll get it. Don't worry if you can't donate. That's all right. But it wasn't. We really needed the support. And over the years, I've learned to really just say, look, I need your help. We are fighting the good fight of faith against darkness with the light of 1,000 suns, and we can't do it without you. And so people are starting to finally open up generously and support us financially. We're not where we want to be yet, but we are getting there.
All right, Sean, we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back.
All right, God bless.